Welcome to Banff. This is without a doubt one of the most stunning destinations in the world. It's located in Alberta, Canada, among the grandeur of the Rocky Mountains. This region is home to exceptionally beautiful mountains, lakes, rivers, and more. We're Jake and Emily, the two roaming souls. We're experienced travelers who make helpful guides about the places we visit. This summer, we've been road tripping Canada in our campervan, and this week we're going to share our top 10 things to do in Banff.
Moraine Lake. This iconic lake in Banff National Park features incredible turquoise blue water set against possibly the most picturesque mountain backdrop anywhere in the world, with 10 layered peaks just perfectly curving around the west end of the lake. The most famous photo spot is called the Rock Pile. It's less than half a kilometer to hike to the top from the shuttle drop-off. But it's almost impossible to talk about visiting Moraine Lake without also talking about our next spot on the Banff Top 10.
Lake Louise. This is another jaw-dropping glacial lake that you can't miss on your trip to Banff. Lake Louise has a stunning view of the Victoria Glacier at the west end of the lake. And just real quick, Lake Louise is the name of the lake, the town, and the ski resort across the highway, so it can get a little confusing. Lake Louise and Moraine Lake are possibly the most sought-after places to visit in all of Canada, and their proximity to each other makes visiting both of them at the same time very common. But with their popularity certainly comes challenges for visiting, and of course, crowds. Technically, you can drive to the paid parking lots at the Lake Louise lakeshore, but in the summer they're full from basically sunrise to sunset. And Moraine Lake is even harder to access than Lake Louise because since 2023, no personal vehicles at all are allowed to drive to the lake. Instead, Parks Canada has created a shuttle system to provide an affordable and easy way to visit Lake Louise and Moraine Lake. A large percentage of the shuttle reservations for the year are made available mid-April, with the rest being released on a rolling basis 2 days before your visit date. But visit the Parks Canada website for the most up-to-date information. Riders with a valid shuttle reservation can park for free at the Park and Ride located at Lake Louise Ski Resort. This grants you access to both lakes with travel in between provided by the Lake Connector shuttle. Basically, you can stay as long as you like at each lake and receive a shuttle back to the Park and Ride when you're finished. We got lucky with some shuttle reservations 2 days before, booking the 4 a.m. shuttle called Alpine Start. This is the best option for getting to Moraine Lake for sunrise, and certainly gave us enough time to visit both Moraine Lake and Lake Louise in the same day. The sunrise was absolutely incredible that morning, but unfortunately just facing the other way. Something funny this morning, we came up to the top of the rock pile and we were sitting, we got all set up, we're watching, and it's starting to get just light, and we're I feel like there should be a lake that we can see. And basically us and 40 other people were sitting facing the wrong direction. Besides the park shuttle reservations, the other ways to visit Moraine Lake and Lake Louise are roam public transit, private tour company, by foot or bicycle, or by booking lodging at either the Moraine Lake Lodge or the Fairmont Chateau Lake Louise. Both lakes have canoe rentals, which can be a fun way to see or experience these lakes up close. But prices are notoriously expensive at around $145 per hour. There are tons of hikes of all lengths and distances to explore around each lake, from leisurely lakeside strolls all the way up to advanced mountaineering and plenty in between. And one classic hike is actually the next thing on our list.
Visit a tea house. Banff National Park has 2 backcountry tea houses near Lake Louise, Lake Agnes Tea House and the Plain of Six Glaciers Tea House. Both offer a unique chance to get food and drinks surrounded by beautiful nature. They are probably most well known for serving delicious teas and pastries, but they have some other drinks and snacks too. And be aware that they don't have ice. We were both excited for a refreshing iced tea, so we were a little bummed to find out that they only have hot or room temp drinks. Both tea houses are typically reached by hikes beginning at the Lake Louise waterfront. The Lake Agnes Tea House is 3.2 kilometers. and the Plain of Six Glaciers Tea House is 7 kilometers. You can reach them as just out and back hikes or several other variations and loops to other popular stops in the area. There is even an 18-kilometer route that combines the both into one hike. We'll include a link to all the trails we mentioned in this video in the description. We only had enough energy to hike to the Lake Agnes Tea House.
That is really good. I really like my tea. It's rooibos, so it's like an herbal tea, but it's chocolate and mint. It's a really cool combo.
They prefer if you pay with cash and rely on customers to pack out their trash, or even volunteer to take some other trash with you.
Anywhere else in the world, Lake Agnes would be one of the most beautiful lakes around. But here the bar is just so high that it like kind of, I don't know, flies under the radar a little bit.
It's just tough that on the way to this lake you pass by Lake Louise, which is one of the most beautiful lakes probably in the world. And after finishing at the tea house, we were really happy that we found the energy to hike up to the Big Beehive, because it was one of the most incredible views of our entire time in Banff. From here, it's amazing to see the river mixing into the lake. It carries a glacial sediment called rock flour that, once diluted, is responsible for that stunning blue color.
Johnston Canyon. This scenic canyon full of waterfalls is a can't-miss destination. The highlights of this 5.5-kilometer hike are the lower and upper falls, along with several other smaller waterfalls. But you'll probably find tons of moments worthy of stopping to marvel at the beauty. Suspended wooden boardwalks allow visitors of all ability levels to delve into the wonder of this rugged canyon. And truly, there is no single final destination. You can hike in as far as you like. However, I must stress that this is one destination where avoiding the crowds is highly recommended. The narrow out and back trail just makes the crowds feel so much more condensed. Even at 8:30 a.m. on a summer weekday, there were lines forming just to view the upper and lower falls. So visiting early in the morning or late in the evening is your best chance to avoid crowds. Or visit during spring and fall, or even winter when lots of snow and ice transform the landscape into something so unique.
Ride the Banff Gondola. This scenic gondola ride whisks you up to one of the best views of Banff. From here, you get stunning views of 6 different mountain ranges, the town of Banff, and many other notable landmarks. Once at the top, you can take a short walk to the Cosmic Ray Station. This historic research installment is the site with arguably the best views of Banff. And back at the top of the gondola, you can explore the exhibits in the museum, grab a quick bite or drink at the coffee shop, enjoy a beer on the rooftop patio, have a casual sit-down meal at the Northern Lights Alpine Kitchen, or really indulge with a fine dining experience at the Sky Bistro. The gondola is open year-round and pricing varies based on projected demand. But booking at least 48 hours in advance always receives the cheapest rates. Or you can skip the gondola entirely and hike up the Sulphur Mountain Trail for free. The trail is 10.8 kilometers and climbs up 755 meters on pretty relentless switchbacks. You can also potentially hike up and ride the gondola down, but a spot on the gondola is not guaranteed and subject to availability, so always prepare to hike the whole thing if necessary.
Explore downtown Banff. There are tons of restaurants, bars, shops, and museums to keep you entertained in town. And the main street, called Banff Ave, is closed to motor vehicles between Wolf and Buffalo Street, creating a much more enjoyable experience strolling downtown, and making it easier to get those iconic Banff shots with the Cascade Mountain as a backdrop. Personally, we always love to visit the local breweries, so we stopped into Banff Ave Brewing and Three Bears Brewing. Both are worthy stops for some food and drinks. Banff Ave with their balcony right above the bustle of town, and Three Bears for their nature-inspired decor and retractable roof. Another legendary Banff restaurant we tried is Magpie and Stump. They serve delicious Mexican food with an especially affordable happy hour. The upstairs is a vibrant open-air patio, and the downstairs is a cozy wooden tavern vibe. And lastly, we tried out the rooftop at Elk and Oarsman, who might have the best rooftop patio in town. But while the food looked great, the flavor did leave something to be desired.
Drive the Icefields Scenic Parkway. This 227-kilometer mountain road between Lake Louise and Jasper showcases some of the most incredible scenery in Banff National Park. There are ancient glaciers, stunning alpine lakes, waterfalls, wildlife, and more. Really, you could make an entire series of videos about everything there is to do here. But driving the road and stopping at some of the popular stops is a great start. It's honestly unfathomable, the beauty that you can see just steps from the parking lots and pullouts. The real highlights for us were paddleboarding on Bow Lake and watching sunset over Peyto Lake from Bow Summit. The short hike to the Peyto Lake viewpoint delivered an incredibly beautiful sunset that we will remember forever. Another absolutely exceptional destination is the Columbia Icefield, which lies at the northern tip of Banff National Park. You can just admire the glaciers from afar, walk the glass-bottom skywalk, or ride up close on the famous Ice Explorer. But we didn't make it this far, promising to save it for a future trip once Jasper heals and reopens after the tragic wildfires in 2024.
Banff Hot Springs. These thermal hot springs at the base of Sulphur Mountain are a classic Banff activity. For generations, people have been enjoying and relaxing in the nourishing spring water. It's located right at the base of the Banff Gondola, so it's popular to do these at the same time. It's a large man-made pool, but it still gets crowded during most days. We visited right when they open, hoping to avoid the crowds, but honestly showing up like 30 minutes before would have been even better, because it takes a little time to buy tickets and get ready in the locker room. They give you a free locker token, and they also have towels and bathing suits for rent if you don't have your own. There's limited parking, so if you don't go first thing in the morning or really late in the evening, you should consider taking the bus up from town. You can stay as long as you like in the hot springs, enjoying the views of Mount Rundle and Cascade Mountain.
Mount Assiniboine. This prominent pyramid peak in the Canadian Rockies stands tall above some of the most stunning backcountry in the area. But getting here is anything but straightforward. There are no roads into the park, so the only way to visit this place is by hiking or booking a helicopter transfer. It makes for an exceptional multi-day backpacking trip, with most trips planned around getting permits for Magog Lake Campground, which is the ideal base camp for exploring the trails in the area. Or you can book accommodation in the Mount Assiniboine Lodge or their cabins and huts. There is a ton to know about planning this adventure, which is why we made an entire separate video all about visiting Mount Assiniboine. Go check it out!
Lake Minnewanka Scenic Loop. This scenic drive near Banff packs so many incredible lakes into one short trip. It's a great place to swim, paddle, hike, or simply take in the views of the drive. Lake Minnewanka is by far the biggest in the area, stretching 21 kilometers and flanked by stunning mountains on both sides. So the best way to see it all is booking the Scenic Boat Cruise, or they also have canoe, kayak, and motorboat rentals. However, on such a big lake, we recommend going in the morning because wind often makes the water pretty rough in the afternoon. But even if you don't get out on the lake, on shore there's a beach, some picnic tables, a restaurant, and a popular short hike to Stewart Canyon. Other smaller lakes on the Scenic Loop also make great destinations. There's Two Jack Lake, Johnston Lake, and Cascade Pond. Two Jack and Johnston are much smaller than Minnewanka, so they're great for kayaking and paddleboarding. And Cascade Pond is even smaller still, perhaps a little too small for paddling, but it has great green space, picnic tables, and it's famous for its picturesque wooden bridges. Go to our blog, tworoamingsouls.com, for even more information about exploring Banff, plus a helpful map of our favorite spots. And subscribe to our channel for even more travel and adventure content. Thanks for coming along on another Two Roaming Souls adventure. See you next time.